Yes, Ruby.
What happened to the Christians after the Bible?
That's a very good question, Ruby. Well, the last book of the Bible was written in 65 AD. Just a few years after that, so by the end of the 2nd century, all 27 books of the New Testament were recognised as being a part of the Bible. By the 2nd century, the church had spread across Europe, North Africa, India and into Asia. And by the 4th century, the Emperor of Rome, Constantine, became a Christian, and Christianity, which was previously illegal, now became allowed. Christians who were being killed because they followed Jesus were now able to worship Christ openly and freely because the emperor himself had become a Christian. Here's a marble statue of the head of Caesar Constantine from around the time he was alive. Also, in the 4th century, around 312 AD, church leaders met in Nicaea, Turkey, to discuss the teachings of Arius, who had been teaching that the Son of God was not eternal, but had been created. This idea was rejected as being unbiblical and was condemned by the leaders at Nicaea. It was one very young assistant leader, Athanasius, who was born in 296 AD and died in 373 AD, who powerfully showed from the Bible that since God the Father was the eternal Father, he must have always had an eternal Son. Eternal means it's always been and will always be. Athanasius showed that the only way God could be an eternal Father, that is, a Father forever, is if he had been a Father forever. And most of the bishops gathered at Nicaea recognised what he was saying must be true. They developed a creed, that is a statement, saying that God was Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Today, Jehovah's Witnesses continue to teach the teaching of Arius that was condemned at this church council, the idea that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, is a created being. In the 5th century, the church had to deal with another false teacher, Pelagius, who was teaching that salvation was not a result of God's grace, but rather the result of a person's good works. It was Augustine, a pastor from North Africa, who wrote very clearly to show that what Pelagius was teaching was not what the Bible taught. But Augustine didn't start out as a Christian, despite being raised by a Christian mother. He studied public speaking and philosophy and eventually set up his own school in North Africa. He moved to Milan in North Italy to take up a teaching position when he was 39 years of age. This was in the year 384. It was here that he heard the pastor of the Milan church, Ambrose, and he heard him preach and was greatly impressed by him. 2 years later, he was reading the Epistle to the Romans when he was converted. He moved back to North Africa and became the pastor of the church in Hippo. He wrote many sermons which we still have today, and his two most famous books are The City of God and Confessions.